The bustling heart of Tehran fell silent. News spread like wildfire, a whisper at first, then a deafening roar. Ebrahim Raisi, the president of the Islamic Republic of Iran, was dead, assassinated. It was a day etched in history, a day that promised to change the course of a nation. The air crackled with tension, the streets thrumming with a mixture of fear and disbelief. This wasn't supposed to happen, not here, not now. Raisi, a figure of stark contrasts, had been a beacon of hardline conservatism, a man who navigated the treacherous waters of Iranian politics with an iron fist. He was a symbol of the establishment, a guardian of the revolution. Yet, he was also a man cloaked in controversy, his past a tapestry woven with threads of both piety and ruthlessness. His death, a brutal punctuation mark in the story of his life, was a catalyst, an event destined to ignite a firestorm of uncertainty and change within Iran and beyond. The world watched, holding its breath, as Iran grappled with the enormity of the event. Rumors swirled like desert winds, carrying whispers of conspiracies and hidden agendas. The assassination was a wound, deep and raw, on the body politic of Iran. It was a moment pregnant with consequence, a moment that demanded answers, a moment that begged the question, what next? Ebrahim Raisi's journey to the pinnacle of Iranian power was one paved with unwavering dedication to the principles of the Islamic Revolution. Born into a family steeped in religious tradition, his path seemed preordained. From his early days in the seminary, he displayed a fervor and commitment that marked him for greater things. His rise through the ranks of the Iranian judiciary was swift, fueled by a reputation for unwavering adherence to the law, interpreted through the lens of Islamic jurisprudence. Raisi's critics, however, saw a different side to the man. They pointed to his role in the mass executions of political prisoners in the 1980s, a dark stain on his record that he never fully addressed. To his supporters, these accusations were mere fabrications, attempts to tarnish the image of a true servant of the Islamic Republic. Regardless of perspective, there was no denying Raisi's influence. He was a force to be reckoned with, a man who understood the levers of power and how to wield them to his advantage. His ascent to the presidency in 2021 was seen by many as a consolidation of power by the hardline factions within the Iranian government. His tenure was marked by a return to stricter social norms, a crackdown on dissent, and a hardening of Iran's stance on the world stage. His every move was scrutinized, every word dissected as the world tried to decipher the man behind the austere facade. He was an enigma, a figure both revered and reviled, a man who cast a long shadow over the Iranian political landscape. From his early days as a prosecutor in the city of Karaj, Ebrahim Raisi displayed a staunch commitment to upholding the principles of the Islamic Revolution. He saw himself as a guardian of the faith, a defender of the values enshrined in the Islamic Republic. His dedication to the cause was unwavering, his belief in the righteousness of his path absolute. He rose through the ranks of the Iranian judiciary, serving in various capacities, each step bringing him closer to the center of power. His appointment as the Prosecutor General of Tehran in 1988 marked a turning point in his career. It was during this period that Raisi became embroiled in one of the darkest chapters of Iran's recent history, the mass executions of political prisoners. Although Raisi himself never publicly acknowledged his role in these events, the accusations continued to haunt him, a specter that trailed him throughout his political life. Despite the controversies, Raisi remained a figure of influence within the Iranian establishment. He served as the custodian of the Astan Quds Razavi, a powerful charitable foundation, further solidifying his position within the religious elite. His appointment as the head of the judiciary in 2019 was seen as a clear sign of his growing influence within the hardline faction of the Iranian government. His every move was watched, his every word analyzed, as the world sought to understand the man who seemed poised to play a pivotal role in shaping the future of Iran. The years leading up to Raisi's assassination were marked by a palpable increase in social and political tensions within Iran. The economy, battered by sanctions and internal mismanagement, was on the brink of collapse. Inflation soared, unemployment reached record highs, and the Iranian rial plummeted in value. The Iranian people, weary of economic hardship, grew increasingly disillusioned with the ruling elite. The cracks in the facade of unity were becoming more apparent. Protests, once sporadic and quickly quelled, were now a regular occurrence. People from all walks of life, united by their shared hardship, took to the streets demanding change. The government responded with a mix of appeasement and repression, attempting to quell the unrest while simultaneously tightening its grip on power. The international scene was equally fraught with tension. Iran's nuclear ambitions continued to be a source of concern for the global community. Negotiations with world powers stalled, sanctions remained in place, and the threat of military conflict loomed large. The assassination of Qasem Soleimani, the revered commander of the Quds Force, in 2020 further inflamed tensions, pushing the region to the brink of war. As the storm clouds gathered, the future of Iran seemed precarious, the nation teetering on the edge of an abyss. The day began like any other in Tehran. The sun beat down on the bustling city, the air thick with the sounds of traffic and the scent of spices from street vendors. Inside the presidential palace, Ebrahim Raisi prepared for another day of governing a nation on edge. He was used to the pressure, the weight of expectation that came with leading the Islamic Republic. But this day, something was different. A shadow hung over the proceedings, a premonition of something terrible, lurking just out of sight. The details of the assassination remain shrouded in mystery. What is known is that it happened swiftly, brutally, and without warning. A shot rang out, piercing the carefully constructed bubble of security that surrounded the president. Panic ensued, chaos spreading like wildfire through the halls of power. The man who had seemed invincible, the symbol of the Islamic Republic's unyielding strength, lay dead. The news, when it broke, sent shockwaves through the nation. People gathered in the streets, their faces etched with a mixture of disbelief and fear. The death of Ebrahim Raisi was more than just the loss of a leader. It was a symbolic blow to the very heart of the Islamic Republic. In that moment, the future of Iran seemed to hang precariously in the balance, the nation suspended between the known and the unknown. The music had stopped, and the silence was deafening. In the immediate aftermath of the assassination, the air crackled with speculation. Who could have carried out such a brazen attack? What were their motives? Theories abounded, each more outlandish than the last. Some whispered of foreign involvement, pointing fingers at Israel or the United States, nations with a long history of animosity towards the Islamic Republic. Others saw the hand of internal factions, rivals within the Iranian government, vying for power in the vacuum left by Raisi's death. The Iranian government, reeling from the shock, was quick to point the finger at external enemies. State-controlled media outlets ran headlines denouncing the assassination as a cowardly act of terrorism, orchestrated by foreign powers, seeking to destabilize the Islamic Republic. Calls for revenge echoed through the streets of Tehran, fueling a wave of nationalist fervor. However, despite the government's pronouncements, the evidence remained elusive, the truth obscured by a fog of misinformation and propaganda. As days turned into weeks, the initial shock gave way to a gnawing sense of uncertainty. The lack of a clear culprit, the absence of a smoking gun, only fueled the flames of conspiracy. Rumors spread like wildfire, whispered in hushed tones in tea houses and bazaars. Was this the work of a rogue faction within the Revolutionary Guard? Had a disgruntled element within the intelligence services decided to take matters into their own hands? The truth, whatever it may be, remained elusive, a phantom lurking in the shadows, waiting to be unmasked. The assassination of Ebrahim Raisi sent ripples of shock and condemnation across the globe. World leaders from Washington to Moscow issued statements expressing their condolences and condemning the act of violence. The United Nations Security Council convened an emergency meeting, issuing a unanimous resolution demanding a swift and thorough investigation into the assassination. The world, it seemed, was united in its horror at the brazen attack on a head of state. However, beneath the veneer of unity, a more complex reality was taking shape. For some, the assassination was seen as an opportunity, a chance to reshape the geopolitical landscape. Hawkish elements within the United States government saw Raisi's death as a potential turning point, a chance to weaken the Islamic Republic and perhaps even instigate regime change. Israel, long wary of Iran's nuclear ambitions and its support for militant groups in the region, maintained a cautious silence, carefully observing the unfolding events. Within the Middle East, the reaction was equally mixed. Iran's regional rivals, such as Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates, expressed their condolences while privately harboring hopes that Raisi's death might lead to a less confrontational Iranian foreign policy. Others, particularly those aligned with Iran's axis of resistance, such as Hezbollah in Lebanon and the Houthi rebels in Yemen, mourned Raisi's death as a loss for the cause of anti-imperialism and Islamic revivalism. The assassination, it was clear, had created a seismic shift in the region's political landscape, the aftershocks of which would be felt for years to come. The assassination of Ebrahim Raisi plunged Iran into a period of unprecedented uncertainty and instability. The nation, already grappling with economic hardship and social unrest, found itself teetering on the edge of an abyss. The carefully constructed facade of unity and stability, meticulously maintained by the ruling elite, crumbled in the face of this unprecedented act of violence. The power vacuum left by Raisi's death threatened to unleash a maelstrom of competing forces, each vying for control of the Islamic Republic's destiny. Within the halls of power, a struggle for succession began. Hardline factions, emboldened by Raisi's legacy, sought to maintain their grip on the levers of government. Reformist elements, sensing an opportunity for change, pushed for a more moderate approach, hoping to address the deep-seated grievances that had fueled the social unrest. The Revolutionary Guard, a powerful and influential force within the Iranian polity, watched with keen interest, carefully calculating their next move. The Iranian people, meanwhile, watched with a mixture of fear and apprehension. The assassination had shattered the illusion of stability, exposing the fragility of the system. The economy, already on the brink of collapse, threatened to implode under the weight of uncertainty. The specter of civil unrest loomed large, the simmering discontent of the populace threatening to boil over into open revolt. The future of Iran, once seemingly secure in the hands of a strongman, now hung precariously in the balance, its fate uncertain, its destiny unwritten. The assassination of Ebrahim Raisi marked a turning point in the history of the Islamic Republic. It was a watershed moment, a rupture in the fabric of Iranian society, the consequences of which are still unfolding. As the dust settles, a number of critical questions remain unanswered. Who was truly behind the assassination? Was it the work of foreign powers, as the Iranian government claimed? Or did the seeds of this act lie within, sown by internal divisions and power struggles? The future trajectory of Iran hangs in the balance. Will the hardliners consolidate their power, tightening their grip on the levers of government, and pursuing an even more confrontational approach on the world stage? Or will the forces of moderation prevail, ushering in a period of reform and reconciliation, both within Iran and with the international community? The answer to these questions will determine not only the fate of Iran, but also the stability of the entire region. The assassination of Ebrahim Raisi was a tragedy, a senseless act of violence that has left a nation reeling. But it was also a catalyst, a moment that has exposed the fault lines within Iranian society and forced a reckoning with the challenges that lie ahead. The path forward is fraught with uncertainty, but one thing is clear: the future of Iran, and indeed the region, hinges on the choices made in the wake of this momentous event. The world watches, waits, and wonders. What next for Iran?